I'm not sure why I'm writing this. Maybe just to capture those shadows lingering at the edge of language, the things I keep turning over and over in my mind. Writing to you feels like a way of pressing my ear to the door of it all, though I don't expect sense to follow. I keep thinking of that night when the lamplight was low and you extended your gloved hand. Its shadow stretched and distorted across the room, alive yet strangely quiet, almost solemn. The doorway seemed to open between us, one that I knew in my bones had always been there, waiting. When I took your hand, I felt myself crossing into some other place, something always just out of reach, just behind the present. Since then, everything feels a little different. I walk through my days half in, half out of something. Perhaps a dream, perhaps a memory, pulling me toward a name that eludes me. There's an old monitor I sometimes sit in front of, split into 4 flickering squares, each showing a different view. A street corner, a highway at night, a room full of plants, the sky over an empty field. I imagine myself slipping from one scene to the next, trying on lives as if they were old garments. The screen breathes with a faint hum, and in its flickers I feel a heartbeat, a memory of something I've never known yet recognize. Objects learning how to sigh. Have you felt this too? This quiet sense of being watched by something larger, something that both holds you and lets you drift. Sometimes I imagine you're still here, just on the other side of the page, seeing parts of me hidden even from myself. What strange creatures we are, catching only glimpses of ourselves in the mirrors others hold up, and yet those glimpses are enough to remind me that there are pieces of me I've yet to meet, places I've yet to understand. Late at night, when everything's quiet, I sometimes lie there, feeling myself rise out of my own skin, floating. A strange calm, tinged with fear, as if I might drift higher and higher until I forget how to return. I see myself lying there, perfectly still, and wonder, is this how it happens? Perhaps we spend our whole lives floating just a little, each of us watching ourselves from some distant corner, silent observers of our own lives. There are moments when I see a stranger, someone on a bus window across a room, and for an instant, a quiet recognition hums between us, like the memory of a place I've never been. I imagine reaching out, but the moment passes and we drift on, strangers once more. What invisible line keeps us just out of reach, Even when we're standing side by side. I once read a story about a child running through a forest, faster and faster until he's no longer himself. He tumbles forward, rolling head over heels, until he becomes something wild. A wolf, a shadow, a streak of darkness tearing through the trees. I think of that sometimes, and it feels like a promise, or perhaps a memory of a wish I made long ago. A wish that will never be unmade. The wish to slip out of one life and into another, breaking free from everything that binds us to who we are. And then, of course, there's the silence that follows. I used to think silence was an absence, something empty, but now I wonder if it isn't also a presence, something alive. There's a stillness to it, a waiting, as if it holds its own hidden depths. When I sit alone in the quiet, I feel surrounded by invisible voices, all the things left unsaid, waiting, just out of reach. Do you feel that too? The sense of something pressing against the edges of the world, always there, always just beyond. Can you hear me now? My voice. I am neither human nor animal anymore, neither male nor female. I am grief itself, breaking from my body like magma. Do you hear it? Grief, like silence, is a strange presence, isn't it? It's like a shadow that grows a second body, tethered to us, yet always moving just out of reach. I sometimes think grief might be a kind of love, a fragile thread stretched across time, binding what's been lost to what remains. Or maybe it's the only outline of something gone, a hollow shape made from fragments of what might have been, a memory that lives now only as an echo. I don't know if this letter will find its way to you, or if you would recognize yourself in these words, but still, I felt compelled to write, to let these words slip from my hands, falling where they may. And if they fade quietly, unanswered, perhaps that's enough too. Just to let them go, watch them disappear, and settle wherever the world will take them. It is safe to say that I miss you. Until we meet again. Yours, if only in passing.